this is Pastor Mike, and I'm coming to you with Perkstream for October 7th, 2020. I'm here to inspire you to follow Jesus because following Jesus is a life worth living. Today on Perkstream, I'm going to talk about a couple of things that we have coming up in the life of the church in regards to worship service and children's church. I'm also going to, in this segment, do a little demonstration of R&R again as a way to encourage you in one of the catalysts of faith. So let's get right to that. We've been talking in our worship services about things that catalyze or push us forward in faith. We've talked about that we need to have private disciplines. We need to be getting practical teaching. We should be in a personal ministry. We each experience providential relationships. And then this Sunday we're going to be talking about pivotal circumstances. The one thing that we always encourage people to be in the Scripture. Why? Because the Scripture has been given to us so we can know God more intimately, more closely. We can understand His nature. If we're not in the Scripture, then we miss out on knowing God because we miss certain aspects of His character that we may not even know are there. So this is to encourage you to be in the Scripture. And so we developed, or I should say a friend of mine developed, and I ripped off this idea of the R&R journal. What this does is it gives us a place to record what we are reading and what we are reflecting on out of the reading. And it's set up with the idea that you can do a read through the Bible, read through sections of Scripture, and do it on a regular basis. Now, regular for some people is every day, and that's what I would really encourage. But regular for some others might be 4 days a week. And so if it's 4 days a week, it's 4 days a week. That's 4 more days that you're getting something from the Scripture. And the way it works is on a read and response page, once you've determined what Scripture passage you're going to read for that day, and that you would put right here, you might hone in on 1 or 2 verses and take a little time and write those verses out right here. And then right here is, what do I hear God saying to me through those verses? And then you have a response prayer. So you are reading and responding. You're reading a Scripture, you're hearing what God is saying, and then you're responding in prayer. And you would write those out in those sections. Now, I've been using a read and respond journal now for about 10 years, and I moved mine onto my computer in a digital format. And so I've printed out one of my read and reflect pages here. And one of the things that I read this last week on October 2nd, was John chapter 6, verses 16 to 24. And I honed in on verse 24. The story is what happens with the crowd after they've been fed by Jesus. And Jesus has then left. He's walked on the water to his disciples, and their boat lands in Capernaum. This is all happening after that fact. And what verse 24 says, once the crowd realized that neither Jesus nor his disciples were there at the place of the feeding of 5,000, they got into the boats and went to Capernaum in search of Jesus. So here was my reflection on that. The crowd awoke the next morning and realized 2 things. Jesus had not left with his disciples in the boat the previous night, and Jesus was not on the shore in the morning. Someone else had left to tell somebody in Tiberias about what had happened because the boats came from there. A small segment of the crowd then decided they needed to find Jesus. That seems like a good thing, right? Let's go look for Jesus. The crowd should be commended for their desire to be with the Lord. That is true if they really wanted to learn from Jesus. But their motive is not clear. They just want to know where Jesus went to. They cannot understand where he would have gone overnight and how he could have left that place if there was no boat. And since it was morning, would there be breakfast like the dinner provided the night before? Their motive will eventually become clear, so I guess we shouldn't rush to judgment. But it is worth asking the question, what is my motive for seeking Jesus? Do I want to be saved? Do I want to be filled? Do I want my questions answered? Do I just want what I want? Yes, these things can happen. But am I willing to allow Jesus to set the term for what fulfills? Am I willing to learn a new definition of what it means to be saved and fulfilled by Jesus on his terms? Follow Jesus long enough, and I will find that I have to choose between my understanding of what he offers and what he truly offers. So Lord, may my heart and mind grasp your definition and learn to desire what you want. That short prayer was simply to say, what is Jesus' definition of what is truly life-giving? And am I willing to take his definition over mine? And that's what I would encourage for each of us, that we find out what it is that Jesus has to offer us. All right, well, that's an example of using the R&R and how it gets done. And I do mine on a daily basis, usually in the morning before I start my day. And I want to encourage you to find that time and find that place where you can give yourself a little bit of time to read a scripture, reflect on it, respond to God at that point. All right, well, fall has taken hold of Pennsylvania. The weather today is probably going to be a little bit warmer than normal, but we're staying in a really nice range, but chilly mornings. And with the chilly mornings, we've decided that worship will move back inside now for the duration of 2020. And what we want to say with that is there will not be now a one-call network put out during Saturday. You don't have to expect a call now. We are going to be inside. We are asking people to wear their masks or at least bring them for social interaction, and to be ready to help others feel comfortable when we are sitting and talking together. Children's Church is now every Sunday at Perk. Between Lisa Reichley and LMA Freed, our kids are having time after the music that we sing together. They have their time to go and to learn from the scripture, to do a little bit of preparation for Christmas, as we are still looking forward to doing a Christmas program the Sunday before Christmas. So next week on Perkstream, we're going to hear or read a couple more testimonies of new members. We're going to hear from Sherry Wallace, and then we're going to read the testimony of Sue Gaines, who asked if she could transcribe that for us to read it. I also want to thank you for being a giving congregation, continuing to help us maintain the ministry that we have here. All that we do together, and we do it as we share in the expenses of the church. And right now, income is still ahead of expenses, and that's thanks to you as you give. So thank you for being faithful in the giving. So may you have the ability to see Jesus at work, and may you have the ability to continue to follow and to pursue Jesus on his terms, so that he might show you what true life, what real life is. God bless you. Thanks for joining for Perkstream today, and we'll talk to you later.